Now go.
I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago. The words of guidance you have been hearing since your awakening from Princess Zelda herself. Even now, as she works to restrain Ganon from within Hyrule Castle, she calls out for your help.
Hello and welcome back to the Comics to Console Crusade, the podcast where Pat, Joe, and I comb through my extensive yard sale acquired retro video game collection to discuss the best and possibly the worst of comic book oriented video games. This episode's featured game is
Look, I'm not saying it's fair, but it's real. People are scared of you.
You think my job is easy? You try keeping a bunch of fables from killing each other.
Bigby!
Everyone knows you. Big Bad Wolf.
The Wolf Among Us. Ow! Now, before we get started, let's meet the host of the show. We'll introduce one another and ask each other to describe The Wolf Among Us in 3 words. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Pat. Pat, if you would be so kind, give me the first 3 words that pop into your head when you think about The Wolf Among Us. Unprepared, blank stare.
I'm prepared, yes. I'm prepared, blank stare. Actually, I wanted to go with a bit, if you would allow me some extra words.
Go for it.
Not Hamilton versus Burr. A werewolf.
I appreciate the plug. Yes, thank you.
Very good.
And now, I'd like to introduce our on-staff music genius, Joe November. Joe, how would you describe The Wolf Among Us using only 3 words? And if you need a little bit more, because I had some, I'm going to give that to you as well.
I appreciate that, Pat. I'm going to butcher a well-known phrase, but to form it into 3 words, choose your adventure. Because choose your own adventure is usually how it goes.
That's a good one.
I'll say choose your adventure. Really like the style that Telltale had when making these games. I say had because they're no longer around. But yeah, it's a great, great story. And now, let me turn the question on to my old friend, Jarrod Albrick, a.k.a. Death Pro. Jarrod, please describe The Wolf Among Us using only 3 words.
Amazing interactive adventure. And I'm going to echo what Joe said, and we're going to have some fun tonight. Ain't going to be no low scores tonight, boys.
Yes, that is true.
Well, I don't know. I know that you and I love it, Joe. I have to see what Pat thinks. But for now, let's throw it back to Joe, and he's going to take a look at the specs of The Wolf Among Us in a segment we like to call All Your Specs Are Belong to Us.
How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us. You are on the way to destruction.
All right. Thanks, Jarrod. So let's look at the release date. This began releasing as a serial series in October of 2013. And that's serial spelled S-E-R-I-A-L, not a cereal that you eat at breakfast.
Oh, Pat was online right now shopping for the cereal.
Move the Cocoa Puffs out the way. All right, so the full game release was in November of 2014, and it released on all sorts of platforms. You got the 360, the PS3. That's the one that I played it on originally. PC, Steam is what I recently replayed it on. You got the PS4, you got the Xbox One, both Android and Apple iOS, as well as the PS Vita. The publishers, Telltale Games. The developer was also Telltale Games, and the game type is what they call interactive film / point-and-click adventure, and it's for 1 player. Now, back to Jarrod, where he'll use his yard sale to eBay skills for a segment we call Cached Memory.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, this one is a fun game. And guess what, folks? It's not going to break the bank like Deadpool did on the last episode. If you find this one loose, and by loose I mean like disc only, you can pick it up for $5. You're in the $5 to $10 range there on eBay. If you want a complete copy, nice box, instruction insert, all that stuff, you're looking at maybe $15, maybe $20. Factory sealed copies are still relatively cheap. They're going for around $30. So if you want to snag this game, it is affordable. And I don't know what it costs on Steam, but Joe would know better than I would, but it's probably not a ton of money.
Yeah, it's not a ton of money. I want to say $10, maybe less. I'm not sure.
There you go. Now that we got that pertinent info hashed out, let's take a quick podcast break and we'll come back and talk about the gameplay of The Wolf Among Us. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
So, Mike, what are you doing? You look like you're deep in thought.
Oh, I've just been sitting here thinking, do you know how many years you and I have been podcasting together for?
8?
Higher.
8?
Just over 10 years now, Paul. And do you know how many different shows we do these days?
What, 3?
Higher.
3?
No, we actually do 4 different shows. And do you know how many episodes we've done across all 4 of those?
10,000?
Lower.
10,000?
But look, we're doing Waiting for Doom. That's the Doom Patrol related podcast where each episode we talk about our favourite superhero team, the Mighty Doom Patrol.
Oh yeah, and we also do DC OCD, where we talk about DC events, covering every event from Crisis on Infinite Earths up.
Yeah, and we also do The Gary Show, which is generally just you and I talking about anything and everything that comes to mind.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and what's the other one we do?
Dial F for Flanger, which is your pop culture chat show, where you get a different guest in each episode to talk about something pop culture related. How cool is all that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So if you want to check out more champagne comedy and sparkling wit like you just heard in this very promo, head over to waitingfordoom.com and you'll find all our awesome shows.
Did you say champagne comedy?
I did.
Lower.
All right, welcome back from that break. I hope you enjoyed that promo from a friend of the show. Because I insert it later, I have no idea what it was. Whatever it is, we highly recommend it. Now let's talk about the gaming experience, and it is quite the experience of The Wolf Among Us. We will discuss some of our highs and lows across the game. We'll wrap it up with our final verdicts. We'll rate the game on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's get into it. We're going to do highs and lows. Round 1. Joe, you get to lead the discussion. What do you think was the biggest high? Or if you want to start with, you can start where you want, but I feel like highs are coming.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be a high. And that high is basically storytelling. Just the storytelling was just superb. It was amazing just to understand, the different consequences of various actions that you take and how each of the characters perceive you as you make decisions throughout the story. And it's just very interactive. You can always choose a different path on a replay to see what different things people say. And it's just great storytelling overall. I think that was the high for me. I did forget how adult the themes are in this game. I forgot that there was a little bit of nudity involved, a ton of cursing. It felt like I was watching a fantasy-themed episode of HBO's Euphoria, to be honest.
Remind me again, Joe, what year were your kids born?
2018.
Uh-huh. And so you played this in probably 2013, 2014, 2015.
Yes,
and it plays a lot different when you have to look over your shoulders and see who's coming into the room.
Well, the good part is I have the handheld Steam device.
Oh, the Steam Deck.
Yeah, the Steam Deck. So that's what I was playing it on. So I could, go somewhere private and just and the kids were playing off somewhere and it's all good. But yeah, 2013 was before kids, and so wasn't quite as shocked then as I am now.
I completely understand.
Yeah, that the scene in the dance area was just like, oh wow.
I was like, oh wait, yeah.
Yeah, those are the highs and shock value for me.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Let's go to Pat, and you're going to continue the high train here in round 1, or you going to come with a low? Now, I think, truth be told to the audience, that Joe and I both replayed this recently for this show, and I don't think you got a chance to. I think you're going more off of, watching playthroughs and things like that.
Off of more of watching, stuff I found on the YouTube playthroughs and just, recommendations and things like that. So I never got a chance to play this. I didn't even know it existed as we'll get into how close it is to the comics, we'll get into that later, and I'll give you a little more detail of what I didn't know. Anyway, just watching this, the graphics, wow.
Yes.
Oh, the artwork, the graphics on this one, I would say that totally blows me away. As Joe said, it's really just a choose your own adventure when it comes up. You got a few choices and then some interactions during a fight or a certain scene where you got to do some timing stuff, you know, and a little puzzle work here and there. So not all that bad, but I don't want to give away my second part of my second high that I have. So I'm going to go just leave it at that and say the artwork really draws you in. And with that artwork, the coloring.
Yes.
Coloring sets the mood.
Great color palette.
Through this all, when you watch the video, you can just get that, what mood they're trying to project onto you. And you can definitely feel it through this.
One of the things that I thought was really neat was each character had their own font when they spoke in text in the game. Snow had blue font. Other people had red. There was gray. Like it helped distinguish the characters even more.
And that's good detail instead of just plain like, you know, the plain old we're used to black background with a white text or something like that. And just that simple stuff. When you go into that kind of detail to help somebody distinguish and separate the characters in that's smart thinking.
Yeah, it was really good.
Well, I'll round out round one. Absolutely agreeing with Joe and Pat. Great storytelling, great art direction. And I guess I'm probably stealing just a little bit from Joe, but I won't go deep on it. But I really enjoyed the music selection as well. Okay, so I played this game twice. I originally played it on my 360, and I don't know if it was maybe the disc or sometimes some games don't like some systems or whatever, but it was a little choppy to the point where I got annoyed and I stopped playing, like probably midway through chapter 1, or I might have made it through chapter 1 and I just stopped. And so in preparation for this one, I was bragging to Joe about, I got on a 360. Right? But then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to play that. Then I realized, I also have it on PS3. I have no idea where I picked it. Yard sale is the answer. I got it somewhere on the PS3. So I was like, I popped in, maybe that one will play smoother. And it did. So I popped that in. I'm digging the music. I'm digging the visuals. And I'm digging the storytelling, of course. What I didn't realize, because I didn't go that deep the first time I played it, was that this is a prequel to the Fables comics, and it's an 80s story.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, because that makes sense. There's no cell phones.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they did have cell phones. It was just the big bricks.
It was the block. Yeah, I'm sorry, the brick version. Yeah. That's right. But like it was that synthy track. Only the drug dealers or the criminals had the blocky cell phones, type of deal. Like Bigby didn't have one, Yeah. And I love the background poster for it was Cobra was
the Mongoose
movie, but it was Mongoose. And once it clicked to me that it was an 80s piece, it became even more fun because that's just my jam. I love that era. So yeah, I'm just overall, I'm basically wrapping up what everybody else said, kind of tossing a little music and a little atmosphere. Just a great 80s vibe to it. And there's plenty more to talk about. So we're going to let other people talk about. We're going to get in round 2 and go back to Joe.
Appreciate it, Jarrod. So one thing I do definitely want to talk about, and Pat touched on it a little bit, but the visual art aesthetic that they use, the neon colors and the patterns. Like you said, it was an 80s themed storytelling. So there was a lot of that shading, lighting techniques from that era that were brought into the art form. And it helps kind of bring your eyes to focus on particular images or parts of a character, anything that they want to visually cue you to understand what's going on in the story. Just great visuals for early 2010s gaming technology for Telltale games. That was definitely a high for me. I will say maybe it's not a low, but it's more and maybe it's because I've played it as an older gentleman, but if you fall asleep while playing this game, you will miss out.
You were screwed.
You were screwed. I woke up one time. I was like, "No, what happened? What? Oh man!"
Because you went through 9 different conversation things with no response.
And then it just continues on.
Yeah, because it gives you a timer, and no response is an option.
It is an option,
which I occasionally picked.
That would be interesting to see how that played out. Obviously, what did it play out to, Joe?
Oh, I can't remember. It
Joe's Big B was dead in an alleyway, and
yeah, I was just like, oh man, I woke up and it was just like, dang it, and I can't go. I don't want to go back and start over, and I could have, I guess, but I didn't want to waste the time. But
I get it.
You gotta definitely stay awake on this one. I remember when we. Because we played me and my wife and I played the Walking Dead series first.
Okay.
And then we also did Game of Thrones. And we played that together, meaning that, one person would have the controller and the other person will make the decisions. So we both had to stay engaged to make the decisions together. So that's an interesting way to play these types of games too. So I'm actually looking forward to, because I have the Borderlands one, but I never played it. And I'm looking to dive back into that one again after this series.
I didn't know about Game of Thrones and Borderlands. I played the Batman one.
Yes, the Batman one too. I have that one. I just haven't played it yet.
I played and beat that one, and I have the Back to the Future one.
I was going to say the Back to the Future one.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
and
but yeah, excellent. Yeah, don't, much like Nightmare on Elm Street, don't fall asleep. Or in my case, I'm used to like the series I beat just before this was Mass Effect. And sometimes the people you talk to are like, blah, blah, blah. So I check my phone while they're talking, and then I wait to see what our response is going to be. And so my natural instinct when I started playing this game was when they started talking, grab the phone. And I was like, oh, crap, no, I can't. Like, you have to stay in it. Don't pick up that phone.
You got to stay locked in. Don't pick up the phone.
Don't pick up the phone, which is very not our thing. But, All right, Pat, back to you, sir.
Oh, well, I can feel for Joe with just falling asleep doing something, and a guy I follow on YouTube, I heard him call it, people that have the Steam Deck and have kids were called deck daddies, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I can see that because that's the only time you get to play is like late at night or whatever. And next thing you know, you're just like, boom, I'm falling asleep. Or I'm reading a comic or whatever, I'm falling asleep. But I can definitely feel for you there, Joe. Well, let's talk about with that story, though. I think this is really cool, noir-y, detective-y, mystery, stuff like that going on. Very low, I guess, want to say low key, but low energy. I like playing, JRPGs, role-playing games where you have to do a lot of that stuff. And so this game to me would be like a quick palate cleanser because the episodes or chapters aren't so long, right? So you can get through this game 7 hours, depending on what you're doing, 6 to 7 hours. So it isn't really, as we say here, a big time demand.
Right.
For video games, when you play the role-playing games, that are 30, 40, 100 hours of role-playing games. So this one's a good palate cleanser, and you can kind of get through it simple, yes, no questions, things like that, and how you want to play it, where you'll get somewhat different endings based off of, or reactions will happen at the end based off of the decisions that you have made. But if you're into like mysteries, like, I like the mysteries, I watch a lot of Hallmark Mystery Channel and I watch a lot of Murder, She Wrote. Yeah, Murder, She Wrote. Yeah. So, you like that kind of stuff. So this just pulls you in. And I think they did a very good job. And the things I've seen is for Telltale Games, like this was their big game that people wish they would have made a second one for. Mm-hmm. But what they've learned from doing all the others and that, but this is their really standout game where things really came together for them. And hats off to them for that and just creating a really cool story.
Yeah, one of the things that, as far as it being a mystery is concerned, is when they released this game, they didn't release everything all at once. They released it episode by episode. So you would play the episode and then you have to wait until the next one releases. So it kind of prolongs the suspense, with the cliffhangers at the end of each episode. And so you'd have to wait until, just like a regular TV show or something, to see what happens next after, some cliffhanger is presented in the game.
Indeed. I have a couple of things here. I'm going to toss in a couple of lows, so brace yourselves. But brace yourself if you're a listener, because I'm gonna drop a couple of spoilers. I'm kind of pulling a Pat here. I got a couple of notes here that I wanted to get through as we're rounding things out. But I'm gonna do a couple of spoilers. So if you've never played this and you want to have its purest form, I don't know, maybe skip forward a couple minutes, or whenever you hear me not talking anymore, maybe you're safe. I don't know, or just pause. You know what? Pause the show, go beat the game, and then come back.
Come back. We'll be here. we'll be here.
It's fine. It's a pretty old game, but I don't know that everybody's tried it, so I encourage you to try it.
It's not a real big time demand.
Sure.
No, it's less than 10 hours.
This is not necessarily a low, but maybe more of a what the. I tend to play these games, like I said, just did Mass Effect, which very similarly, you make choices in discussion and affects outcome. When I was a younger man and a younger gamer, I would be like researching as I was playing, like, what's the best decision? What's the best thing to say, for the best outcome? And as an older gamer, now that I'm sort of replaying these, I'm much more like, I just want to reflect my personality. What happens to my personality when I go through the game? And I'm a very sort of peacemaker, nice guy. These guys might debate that, but like I tend to try to smooth things over. So this was particularly interesting because I kept making a lot of the nice guy decisions as Bigby, right? But the canned story elements, people are always going like, well, Bigby, if you don't be the usual with your brusque manner, and I'm like, I've been nothing but nice to this whole game, like nice to everybody. And sometimes they make you make tough choices where you can't be nice or stuff like that. And that's fine. But I just it amused me that all the other characters kept referring to me as this like mean guy when I was like, look, I was only beating up fools when I absolutely had to.
I think some of that comes to the comic book stuff, and not necessarily the comic book stuff, but the Grimtail or whatever that, he's the wolf. He's the big bad wolf, That's what they know him as.
He's got that reputation, certainly. Yeah. But when I played him, he was a little bit smoother.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But so here's where this is my biggest low, and I understand that it's a very specific to my experience low, is even on my nicer PS3 copy, when I got to the beginning of the fifth and final chapter, my game glitched. And it just froze. And like there's a scene where you like you're about to fight everybody in old dude's parlor, and I was amped up for it, right? And it froze. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just rebooted it. And I was so happy to realize that it at least remembered I was in chapter 5. But what it didn't remember was anything that I had done in the first 4 chapters. So like there at the end, there was like, oh, Bigby's that dude that let her, burn my magical tree. I did not let her burn the magical tree. Bigby's the guy. I burned it. Bigby's the guy that betrayed me. The pig said, "Oh, you betrayed me," and I was like, "No, I didn't. I covered for him." The frog, the toad, was like, "You could have helped me out." I was like, "I literally paid for him to get his glam." None of those were remembered, and it pissed me off because I didn't get the ending that I deserved. So that was a game glitch. And I did read online that glitching was a little bit of a problem. Like even after that, there was still a couple of small glitches where for a brief period, all my options were in Spanish.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily, I speak pretty good Spanish, so I was able to kind of figure out rather quickly what he was saying and select what I wanted to do. But for like two options out of the blue, it was in Spanish. So
was it audible Spanish or was this subtitle Spanish?
It was everyone was speaking English, but when it was my choices, basically the subtitle of choices, all my choices were in Spanish. So, and I read online that other people had this glitch problem too. And that just kind of made me a little salty because I'm like, this is how old and you can't download a patch? Just like give us Of course, Telltale's out of business. So, patches, I'm dependent on you, son. Joe got it. But the last thing I want to throw in, and then I'll do a free for all for anybody else. So, my personal experience was a little tainted, but I still am glad I was able to play it all the way through. This is more of a question. I'll wrap it with a question for everybody else. Or for Joe, because Joe played it. How amped and awesome was it when he goes full wolf against Bloody Mary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I warned you guys, there's spoilers. But like the whole time I played the game, I didn't realize he could turn into a full giant wolf. Like, I thought he turned into a werewolf.
But I think that's what's kind of interesting because you brought about. If you're the peace guy, you're not wanting to turn into the
right. I was very resistant.
Right, you're trying to hold that back because, according to the thing, this is a new world. I think we could change here. I got a fresh start here.
Yeah. And I did make a lot of those choices, but the story takes you to where you have to combat bloody murder.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And as Joe's pointed out earlier, the storytelling was so good that you're looking forward to it. You're like, oh, I'm so sick of her. Ooh. So especially to you, Joe, was that something that when that moment came, was that big to you? Did you know he could turn into a giant wolf, or was that like what?
I mean, obviously they were kind of hinting towards that with the glowing eyes, and as he gets angrier and angrier, and then he's kind of followed the Bruce Banner principle, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry type thing. When he just gets shot by, the Tweedle Bros, and then he just comes out, full on wolf. But one of the things that was interesting is that they spoiled it in a precursor.
I saw that. Yeah, in a full preview.
Yeah, to the previous episode when they were like, this is what's going to happen next. And you could see him full on wolf. It's like, oh, that's what happens. So the question is, how does that happen? So
right.
You have to play to find out.
Yeah, there was a couple of little teasers that I thought spilled just a little too much. But yeah, those are kind of my final things with one exception, but I don't want to steal everything. If anybody else has anything to throw in, I'll wrap up with my final exception.
I mean, you know me and wolf lore. I'm all about it. So I definitely had to pick this game up when it came out because I love wolves and the wolf story and werewolf and things like that. So I loved this game.
Well, now everybody knows why I wrote Hamilton vs. Burrow Werewolf Tale, just to make Joe happy. It's funny because peek behind the scenes for the last episode we did on Deadpool, Joe actually picked the game, but scheduling just wouldn't line up, and we had to get the episode out, so we couldn't have him on. So I was like, Joe, next episode, you pick another game. It's all you. You had to miss the last one. I felt bad about it. And he drops A Wolf Among Us, and I was like, that's so Joe. Like, that's the Joe's choice of all the Joe choices. Yes. And I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that I want to talk about, and it is big time spoilers here, folks. So again, you've been warned. At the very end, when what's her name, Anissa, aka the Little Mermaid,
Little Mermaid,
they really do a little twisty twist on you and kind of hint that she's a lot more than you thought. Which really, as I dug into it, and because I was like, wait, what does that mean? And I had to literally go to end of The Wolf Among Us Explained and watch a couple of YouTube videos. And there's two prevailing theories on it. I don't know if you guys are getting head nods.
I saw those, yeah.
I did not. Actually, it would be a surprise to me because I kind of forgot the ending. So.
Okay, then you know what? No more spoilers, folks. But because the point I want to make, it doesn't require the spoiler. The point I want to make is I was a little disappointed that I had to Google explain it to me. Right. Okay. And then there's two prevailing theories, and I know which one I'm more on board with. And Joe, we can talk privately when you finish it.
Sure.
For the second time. But I was a little for such a great experience to at the very end have to Google. I was like, I wish you would have been a little more forthright.
Well, they were trying to. There was hopes that they would do a season 2, right?
A season 2, yeah. So maybe all that was one being answered.
But I think it's interesting how the ending is, and from what I've seen, that what I got out of this is this may be really depth, and I'm calling Orsted here just to get me hey man,
it's out there.
Yes, this is just my out there thought when I heard this, man, is just but what if it's really Bigby just fighting his inner people here, man? Is he this guy or is he that guy?
Well, that really is.
Exactly.
You're not wrong. That's the way you go through the story. You decide, is he going to be?
And so is the outcome this or that?
I wish I could.
I don't want to spoil it. So you know what I mean?
Files got jacked up. And I'm sorry. I was so upset because it was now you can go back and look at all the choices you made, all the key choices, and all mine were blank. And I was mother.
Yeah, they just
did you just say it? You fell asleep. You fell asleep like Joe did.
I might as well have. All right, great discussion for a great game. So let's see what the scores are gonna be. Let's rate this thing on a scale of 1 to 10 as a reminder to our listeners. A 5 is average. It means okay. I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but I wouldn't really play it again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got yourself a top tier product. 4, 3, 2, 1. You've got yourself I don't know, Aquaman, Battle for Atlantis. We'll cover it at some point. It's a GameCube game.
Nothing sets the bar lower than Highlight.
And then there's Highlight for Joe, right? All right. Speaking of Joe, 1 to 10. I have a feeling that you're pushing to the right on this scale. What do you got?
Yeah, this is definitely a strong 9. I'm not going to give halvesies, but I'd say with I wouldn't give it a full 10 just because if this game was made like today, I think the animation would be smoother. But at the time, it was probably a 10. But just because, of the games I've played since then, and I've seen the progression that they made in the other Telltale games with the animation, this is one of the first ones that they did. So, there's definitely some improvement for that. But overall, and, obviously with the glitches and stuff, that doesn't help either. So solid 9, though.
Okay, so that actually answers the question I had. Because, again, I stopped playing it on the 360 because the animation was just a little too herky-jerky for me. It was a little smoother on my PS3. And I was going to ask you, you have sort of the most modern version you're playing on the Steam Deck. So it's still a little not as smooth as you'd like it to be. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I gave it a pass because, it was made over 10 years ago. So
and they're trying something pretty new and different. Yeah. All right, Pat. You didn't get the hands-on experience, but what's your vibe for it?
And I watched, some of the playthroughs and things like that. And I think the other thing here too is with the animations, the team that was doing it, they were under the gun. They were trying to meet deadlines and all that. So you will, they even admitted that you're going to see some herky-jerky movements with the animation on this one, just because they were trying to, hey, we got to get this thing out. The business side of it took over instead of the creative side of it. But I'm at an 8 with this because it is something that has really piqued my interest. And I'm glad that Joe brought this along because I've seen the Telltale stuff. And I remember texting Jarrod is like, oh, hey, it's this. And when I looked it up and I'm like, oh, did they do the Batman and those kind of choose your own adventures, interactive videos like this? I thought were really interesting at the time. And I'm starting to get into a lot of these, mystery detective-y kind of games where, it's kind of point and click and do some of that stuff. There's a name for it, and it's escaping my mind right now, but
hidden object games.
More.
I've played a lot of those, or old people games, as some people.
Yeah. But I'll say a name that I want to play it. It's Emio, the Smiling Man. It's a Famicom detective game that's out on the Switch right now, and it's kind of like that, where it's detective point and clicks, where it's kind of storytelling and leading you along. And those are the things that I'm kind of looking into now that I'm like, oh, wow, these are really fascinating. And I'm glad that Joe said that it's on Steam because I didn't even think about that. Yep. And so I'm going to have to, I'm going to wish list these and wait till they go on deep sale for me to grab them when they're like $1.99 or whatever, but 80% off.
Yeah.
But these are cool. And I want to learn a little bit more about this kind of genre of games. I think is really cool.
Definitely. So an 8 then.
Yeah, long story. It's an 8. Sorry.
And I'm going to join Joe on the solid 9. Again, my only things were the glitch, really, that kind of erased all the decisions I made and it put me to default. And I was like, oh, it kind of tainted my experience. But overall, very solid 9. I can be a bit forgiving of that. I know that doesn't happen to everybody, but it just so happened to me.
Yeah.
And peek behind the curtain. Just today, I bought the Walking Dead Telltales for PS4. So
nice. One type of capability they could have had, but it would have been before their time because Netflix does this now, where if you're watching a show and you don't change anything, you just let the shows run, it'll have a pop-up message saying, are you still there? They should have that for these games. So that if you don't make decisions, if you miss 3 or 4 decisions and no problem thing, are you still playing?
Oh yeah, and some of the decisions give you more time than others.
Yes.
And sometimes they give you very such little time that maybe I'm just dumb, but I'm a slow reader and I'm feverishly trying to read my
problem. That would be my problem.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Yeah. They do that a lot.
But anyways, we mentioned it. My script says we forgot to talk about it, but we didn't forget. We mentioned it. But I know what it is we need to talk about. We're going to throw it over to Joe November, on-staff musical genius, to talk about the music in a segment called Superconductor.
Thanks, Jarrod. So I did a little bit of research on what it took to create the music for this game, and it basically surrounds one gentleman. His name is Jarrod Nathaniel Emerson Johnson. He's a 43-year-old musician, video game composer, sound designer, voice director, and a voice actor. He works at Bay Area Sound, as lead composer there, but his primary discography is surrounding the Telltale games. And just listen to this list of games he's done for Telltale. Boom. Sam & Max. Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People. Wallace & Gromit's Grand Adventures. Poker Night at the Inventory. Back to the Future, the game. Jurassic Park, the game. The Walking Dead series. Wolf Among Us. Game of Thrones. Batman. Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a huge list of games. And he's gotten awards too. He was nominated for the Walking Dead game for Best Music of the Year at the British Academy Game Awards in 2013. So the guy knows his stuff, and he definitely understood the aesthetic that they were trying to achieve with this story, an 80s, synthwave noir type of storyline, detective story. And I felt like the musicianship captured the suspense and the emotional ebbs and flows of the storyline. He did an excellent job. So I was also looking to see, as from a remix standpoint, did anybody really remix some of those, like the intro music or the menu music? And there are a few. Most of them are EDM remixes, and you can go to overclockedremix.org and look up one that's called The Wolf Among Us Season 1 Opening Credits. And a guy named Aluminum did a really good remix for that. Then there's also on YouTube, there's all kinds of, Wolf Among Us, ambience, relax while you study type of thing. Nice. So there's like an hour and a half worth of 80s synthwave music that comes straight from the game. And you'd be surprised at how relaxing it is. It's not tense at all.
I can fall asleep to it.
Yeah, you can fall asleep to it.
Now we know how they got you.
Yeah. You can play games and fall asleep to it. And then there's a third one that I saw that was another synthwave track. So basically, everybody loves the aesthetic of the 80s synth sound that Jarrod created for these games and for this particular game. My favorite track, I love the main menu theme. It's very suspenseful, foreboding, lets you know that, hey, there's something going down, but man, you got to play this game to figure out what type thing. And then there's a song called Faith from episode 5 that was really nice. And I remember listening to that when I first played it. But unfortunately, the second playthrough, I didn't get to chapter 5. I only got to chapter 4. But I remember the song from episode 5. And I don't think there's any bad music in this game at all. So great job, Jarrod.
Thank you.
That's all for the superconductor musical segment. Let's throw it over to Pat to lead us in a discussion on how well the game captures the essence of the comic book in a segment called Reformatted.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Let's go ahead and, as Joe said, find out how well did this game capture the essence of the comic book. And truth be told, as much as I love comics, I have never read a Fable comic at all. I know kind of the premise a little bit, but I have not read anything about it. So I'm going to have to lean more on Jarrod and Joe if they've read any of the Fable comics to help us out here. But it is definitely a comic that has a lot of clout to it just because of when it came out and what it was doing with these characters and just kind of revamping them a little bit. So that's how I know of it. But let's see, Jarrod, what do you think this game to comic to console?
Yeah. I kind of like you, Pat. I haven't done a dive into Fables. I'm familiar with Fables. I know it's like Bill Willingham's bread and butter. I think it was a DC Vertigo title. I think it's brilliant
Very
because,
popular.
he does that thing very much like Alan Moore did with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Is he takes these public domain characters, right, that we're all familiar with, and weaves a new story around them. Only brilliant writers take public domain characters like historical figures and then weave in like werewolves and things like that. Only the most brilliant of writers would do that.
Of course.
And the most humble.
Right, clearly. But back to the topic at hand. I've seen Fables laying around. I think I have a couple trade paperbacks of Fables I just haven't cracked open yet. I seem to remember my friend and Crusaders Club member Ezra Gallo, I think, was on the Fables train. And I might have read one or two of his just because, we were talking about it. And it was laying around his place or whatever. Yeah. So I have the slightest toe dip into it. But here's the beauty part of it. When you ask me, how does this match up with the comic book? It is famous enough. The comic is famous enough that when I saw the game, I immediately knew it was Fables connected.
Oh,
so it has to be a good representation. And like I said, in my research, I learned it was a prequel to everything he'd done.
Yes.
So to me, it's very loyal to it because it would have to be for me to immediately recognize a Fables thing. But I have a suspicion the person here is going to know most about this is Joe. So let's hear what he has to say.
I think I picked up the game first before I knew about the comics.
Oh, okay.
So after I played the game, I did buy like the hardcover. I forget which volume it was, but it was like the first volume set of comics that they had in a hard book format. And I tried to look for it the other day, and I couldn't find it. I'm pretty sure one of my kids hid it or something. But I know I have, and I know that I read it. I just can't remember the specific details of the comics, but I do know, like, aesthetically, it's very similar between the game and the comics themselves and the characters that are involved with that. So it's just a huge continuation, like you said, a prequel. So it was a great tie-in between one medium and another. Just great storytelling in both platforms.
Yes, definitely. I think that's a good way of putting it, that it's a great segue to either get you into video games or get you into reading the comics in this universe of Fables. And so, as I mentioned before, I don't really know a lot about Fables, so I want to open it up to our listeners. Anybody listening, if you are a Fables fan and know the lore, let us know in the comments. Comment about it so we can get in conversation of it. I've heard great things about it, just haven't gotten to that point in my reading to get there yet. So should I bump it up? Should I bump it down? Let me know and help us out. Now that we've gotten the comic to game comparison all kind of figured out, it's time to talk about our memories around this game. Let's go ahead and hop into our DeLorean, get it up to 88 miles per hour, and talk about our memories of this game and what was going on in our lives in a segment called Save Point. We'll give you some context for the time that our featured game was released by discussing video game news of that time, what was playing on TV, and what was some of the chart-topping songs. Then we'll wrap it all up with our personal memories surrounding The Wolf Among Us. So, here are the video game events and notable releases for October of 2013.
All right, I'll kick this off for October 12th of 2013. The Nintendo 2DS was released. They took the 3DS and they took it to the step back. It's kind of a big square thing. I see one every once in a while. I might even own one, but yep. October 12th, 2013, the Nintendo 2DS hit the market.
I think that's the one I had first before the 3DS, to be honest. I think I did it backwards. because I was like, I don't know if I want to get a headache with this 3DS thing.
Yeah.
So let me do the 2DS. But I definitely had one of those back in the day, which was October 12th, apparently. All right. So from my end, October 4th through 7th, there was Electronics Boutique Games Expo held in Australia. And I looked up that event. There were close to 38,000 people that went to this particular expo. And there were a lot of big releases during that time. But the biggest one at the time was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, the pirate series. That's actually one that I have never played because I'm not into pirates. But apparently it's pretty cool. So people were digging it. So it was a huge draw for that expo.
I put that in the sneak peek, folks. I make the little script for this. I put that in there just because I was fascinated that like EV, Electronics Boutique, was still a thing.
Yes, that's true.
I was like, oh man, EV was around then. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like, Sam Goody and Suncoast and all
Oh, man.
defunct media outlets.
Anyway, Pat, what do you got?
I liked it because Assassin's Creed, the Black Flag, I liked the pirate aspect of it. And man, Assassin's Creed has been around for that long. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. We talk about it with Steam that these games can be kind of preserved like that. Now that we got the Steam Deck too, you can play them so you can kind of get back to this stuff because I do have this in my Steam library. I just got to get to it someday, but it was definitely a game that I was interested in. And speaking about some other stuff here, the other games released in October, we have the Stanley Parable, Deus Ex, Human Revolution, the Director's Cut is also out this month as well. Now let's go ahead and get into some interesting TV shows released in October of 2013. And I'll start us off with number 3, Up Late with Alec Baldwin, which was an MSNBC and lasted about 5 episodes.
So I go to this list of shows that were released in whatever month, and there's like 20 of them, and I was like, which one is interesting? And I was like, Alec Baldwin had a late night
Yeah,
show.
that's crazy.
I didn't remember that at all.
I don't remember.
So when I see something that's kind of interesting, I'm like, what? And then I put it on the list, which brings me to number 2, Chris Angel's Believe with the L-I-E in caps.
Okay.
Yes.
Believe with a lie. Anyway, it was on Spike TV. It went only 10 episodes. I think I actually saw a couple of those. I know I've seen some of the Chris Angel's Street Magic stuff, and it's always fascinating.
Wasn't Spike TV was G4 TV? And
Yeah, I think it was G4.
Before that, yeah.
And then maybe at one point it was like Court TV, and then I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it was Spike TV back then, and I really saved the best for Joe on this one. It was a show that when I saw on the list, I was like, how have I not heard of it? And I want to check it out. Joe, what's in our number 1 spot?
So apparently there was a show called Dracula on NBC. It lasted 10 episodes, and it starred Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who I knew because my wife was really into the Tudors TV show on Showtime back around this time. I think that was like 2007, 8 through about 2010. Like she watched that religiously, and I remember seeing him on there. It wasn't something I was into, but he's a very attractive Irish actor, and he's been in a ton of shows like Vikings and some other different shows, but apparently he was Dracula in this one. So I did not know that.
I didn't know either. It was kind of fascinating to me. And I don't think any other actor from the Tudors ever met with any large success.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill came from the Tudors.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Really?
But I don't know if he had I can't remember how prominent he was in that show though. Like if he was just like some side character or
when they first brought us there for Superman, I was like, who? And someone was like, yeah, he's on a show called The Tudors. Okay.
Yeah. What was that Gladiator show he was in? That movie? Yeah, he was basically like, a Roman fighter or gladiator or something like that. And like everybody, had the huge muscles and stuff like that. He was in that movie too.
Huh.
I'll have to come back in.
The only ones I can think of are Gladiator and like Troy. Like those are the only ones that spring to mind. But
no.
Do you like Gladiator films, Joe? We can't get enough airplane references.
You think a grown man naked?
Pat, take the show back.
All right. Well, Here are the top 3 songs that were playing on our favorite pop radio station during October of 2013. Joe, what was number 3?
So number 3 was from this little known singer named Katy Perry, and she had this okay hit called Roar. Nah, it was pretty huge. Roar was a pretty big.
I like that song.
It's a good song, yeah.
Yeah, I hear it a lot because the kids love Kids Bop now, and they have a Roar Kids version of
I can't get enough of that, Joe.
She kind of had the eye of the tiger.
Yeah, she sure did.
The roar of the lion, yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to come into this
I see where you're
like a
going
wrecking
already.
ball here.
Nice.
And go with Miley Cyrus. Number 2 is Wrecking Ball.
I actually met her dad.
Really?
Real life. Mm-hmm.
Billy?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's from Kentucky, and when I was in high school,
Was he taking his horse to the Old Town Road?
Oh no, that was several decades before that.
Oh, okay.
this was the achy breaky heart era.
Oh, so he's like, hey,
yeah.
man,
So I lived in the capital of Kentucky, which is Frankfort. I had a work study program where I would go to the House of Representatives and basically just be a gopher, get coffee and stuff. But I get to sit in the House chamber and listen to the congressman make laws because he was big that year and he was from Kentucky. He came and basically started a session and he sang the song a cappella and everybody was like clapping on the 1 and 3.
I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying.
But then afterwards, I went up and talked to him and I didn't really know what to say. It's like, hey, you have a great song. He's like, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And then he just walked off. But hey, at least I met him.
Oh, cool.
It's better than the rest
Very
of it.
cool.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be fancy with your 2s and 4s, Joe. I'll explain to Pat after the show.
Yeah, there's definitely some
is it a beat
cultural
singer?
significance
I don't know.
to those numbers.
It does have something to do with beats, Pat. You're right. All right, let me get to the number 1 song, which I also remember. The song was called Royals by Lord.
Oh, man.
You can be my queen bee.
I got a funny story for this if you want me to say.
You meant Lord?
No. Yeah, funny story. She was like, I'm like, you do the 2 and 4s, but maybe
I'm trying to figure it out now.
I'm trying to, but I guess I'm gonna segue this into a personal memory, right? Into a standout memory surrounding this featured game. And because I don't know much about the game, I'm going to talk about this song. At the time when this song was starting to get big, me and my family, we went to our first time going to Arizona, and we're in the Scottsdale area. Mm-hmm. And this is like June of 2013. We would turn on the radio in the rental car that whatever, and as we were traveling around Scottsdale, this song would always come on, and kids loved it. And it's one of those earworms that, what are they saying? Do you got the lyrics right or do you got them wrong? And we would always hear it as, you can call me Green Bean. And so it's just a funny memory that we have so whenever we think about it, you can call me Green Bean.
That's interesting.
If you would have
Does Lord still make music?
I don't know. But if our listeners want to call in and tell Pat to never tell that story again, it's 707-532-5269.
Does it hurt all over just when you talk?
Pat's Green Bean story. I love it.
That is pretty funny, though.
Well, Joe, tell us a better story to make people feel better.
Nah, I don't have any better stories.
There's nothing better.
There's nothing better than hearing
than Green Bean.
A friend of mine sing a Lord song.
Yeah.
Royals was definitely a very, very popular song for sure. It was constantly on the radio back in the day.
Do you have any personal memories around the game? Because Pat just cashed his in on the Royals because he never played the game. But around this game in 2013, the first time you played it.
Yeah, just the fact that you're doing like I said, choose your adventure for the modern age is able to use public domain characters that we're all familiar with and put them in a different setting, a detective noir setting. It just felt like it was a great time to play video games. And to be able to participate in this type of storytelling. And that's what I really remember most about playing through this game for the first time. It's just how it felt groundbreaking to me, to be honest. I'm sorry that Telltale Games no longer exists. They went defunct, but man, just imagine what they would have done had they stayed in the game.
Oh, goodness. Now, you may have mentioned this, and if you did, I'm sorry I missed it before, Joe, but when you originally played it, were you played it in the episodes? Did you mention that you would play it, and so you had to hang on for the next release?
Yeah.
That must have been so much deeper experience.
Yeah, you had to wait, when the episode was released so that you can go download it and play it. Yeah, it was on the PS3 at the time.
Okay, yeah, I've only had it in a complete collection, but you hit on something that I'll do for my standout memory of 2013. And I guess I'm going to kind of be a grumpy old man in a way, but like when I think about the games from that, I just finished the Mass Effect trilogy, which I think its final installment came out around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it started like in 08 to like 13. And then I'm also working my way through the BioShock trilogy, and that's sort of from that era. And the Arkham games we've been playing are sort of from that era. And it's like, I don't know that gaming has ever been better than in that moment. Like, I'm not trying to poop all over a modern game. There's some nuggets, no poop nugget connection needs to be made there. But you know what I'm saying? There's some good stuff that's happened. But like, I feel like that there was a window there where there was just a lot of bangers, just a lot of one after another bangers to a like that. Again, I might just be being a grumpy old man, but I just don't know that we've had that many pop, just quality titles go. I mean, you mentioned the Assassin's Creed games. They were hot back then as well, too.
Yeah.
There's just so many that were just popping back then.
You could see it reflected in like the resale value of games like, a gaming store like GameStop, where, you would have several copies of the same game because people just love that game so much. And, the Call of Duties, the Assassin's Creeds, even though this game wasn't as popular, it still had basically a cult following.
Yeah.
That, people would find the games that Telltale made and go play the other storylines that they made as well, the Batman games and the Walking Deads and things like that, just so that they could be immersed in that storytelling experience. It was a great time for video games for sure.
It really was. It really, because I mean, I'm a console gamer, and if you can name a console, I probably have it. When I'm just going back to play for fun, I keep landing on the PS3 and the 360. Like a lot. There's just so many. There's a really good game library in that. And that's anyways, yeah, it's a good time. It is a good
PS3, 360, and of course a Wii. Somebody wrapped that.
Yeah, somebody did. Somebody did. We'll have to look into it. All right, let's wrap this thing up. But before we do, we got to give some shout outs to the Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks who have joined our crusade. They get early access to special Longbox episodes. They get to vote on show content and so much more. You know what? Maybe for the next game, we'll go and let the club members pick it. Nothing wrong with that.
Nice.
So keep a lookout, club members. We may toss that one your way. Anyway, these are the folks that are reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Alan W. Wright.
Angelica Wolf.
Oh, appropriate. Auburn Elvis.
Bill Bear.
Billy D.
Bradley Dello.
Braxton Underwood.
Carrie.
Clinton Robeson.
Captain Entropy.
Clark Westfield.
Dave Collins, Battle Wagon.
Battle Wagon.
Eric Hodges.
Eric Porter.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
George Meal.
Gerald Green.
Heinz K.
Jason Keene.
Jason Lady.
Jeff Pollier. Sorry about that, Jeff.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Jim Meal.
Joe Manconan.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Kathy Bright.
Matt and Lissy Passo.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Minton.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devons.
Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Ronald Easterday.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pendleton.
And last but not least, the Toronto Cop.
Whoop whoop. If we miss anyone on the list, we apologize. Keep in mind we record these episodes well in advance of release, so if you're a recent edition, we will add you soon, but no worries. Let us know we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com, and we'll get all straightened out. If you're asking yourself, how do I get in on this? How do I become a Crusaders Club member? Patreon.com/longboxcrusade for as little as $1 a month. You'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come and check it out. If you don't have any extra scratch laying around, you want to help us out at LBC headquarters, you can always subscribe to our YouTube, which is also at Longbox Crusade. And we have got some feedback from our Deadpool episode that came out not terribly long ago. Well, it was our last episode. And I will start us off with a comment from Coffee and Comics. It's our friend in the basement. And he said, of Deadpool 2013, I never played it. This was around the time my kids took full control of the gaming stuff, and they were definitely too young for this game. Great episode. Now go patch up that fourth wall, gents. Maybe the other 3 too while you're at it. That's our friend Clinton from Coffee and Comics.
Nice.
Pat, why don't you pick up the next comment, sir?
All right. Well, I'm going to take the next one from Doc Strange, Billy D. Delicious. And Billy says, thanks for playing my promo as we played his promo on that episode.
Yeah, Magazines and Monsters, I do believe. And then I don't know if you get through this whole comment, Joe, but do your best.
Well, this is a tough one. This is from M. Anthony Gerardo. Very succinctly and eloquently says, cool cover.
Cool cover from Gerardo.
But it
He
is a
may
cool
even
cover.
said it like it's suave.
Rico Suave himself. Did have a cool cover. It did.
Yeah, it did.
All right. We're going to wrap this up here. Joe, why don't you give the folks a reminder how they can get in touch with us if they want to chat about this show or any of the other shows on the Longbox Crusade Network?
Definitely. You can find any of our many fine programs on anywhere where excellent podcasts are found. We're also on YouTube, or visit our website at www.longboxcrusade.com. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, hit us up on social media. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and all that can be found by typing in at Longbox Crusade. That's at Longbox Crusade. You can also email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com. And finally, you can leave us a voicemail at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. Ow. All right. I want to thank the team for being here. And here's where you can find us on the internet. Pat, where can they find you?
Oh, well, Jarrod, I'm glad you asked. You can find me on the X at Christatos01. Joe, where can you be found?
Pretty much any social media platform except X. But you can find me as Joe November on all the sound platforms, whether it's SoundCloud, Spotify, Bandcamp, things like that. I got some music. Please check it out.
Do it. Do it now. And I am, of course, at Yard Sale Artist. That's X, Facebook, and Instagram. It is all at Yard Sale Artist. Thanks for joining us. We hope you'll continue to join us as we go on our crusade to play them all.
The music themes for this show are done by musical genius Joe November. Please check out his SoundCloud at Josephline99. That's JOSEFLIN99. You will not regret it.
I did not think it wise to overwhelm you while your memory was still fragile. So rather than that, I thought it best to assume a temporary form.